In two magical African wilderness areas, the Masai Mara in Kenya and the Greater Kruger National Park of South Africa, 5 expert safari guides follow a cast of compelling animal characters and the never-ending stories that define their lives. Previously on the Cat Report. Waffles, the formidable leader of the North Clan of Hyena and the Masai Mara, confronted the impending power struggle of her successors. Kenya was confronted with the need to feed 5 hungry mouths. The Sausage Tree Pride had no qualms filling their hungry mouths with another's dinner. And in the Greater Kruger National Park, Tundi, the Queen of Djuma, and her Princess Tlalamba were able to enjoy a quiet meal under the protection of Tingana, Duke of the Realm. Hello and welcome to the Cat Report. We find ourselves at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the company of a 12-year-old male leopard called Tingana. Over the course of his tenure as the dominant male of this area, he's come to be known as the Duke of Djuma. His origins are mysterious. We don't know where he was born or how he came to be here, but there he sits, battered and unbowed by his years in the wild. He's probably coming towards the end of his tenure, 12 is old for a dominant male, but his has been a leopard life well lived. Djuma has been Tingana's kingdom for 5 years. For many of these, he has mated with the queen, Tundi, as well as many other noble females in the surrounding area. He sired a strong royal bloodline. His young male offspring moved throughout the Sabi Sands. For 5 years, Tingana remained unchallenged. Until he fell cripplingly ill. There is no sympathy in the wilderness, and while the aging Duke sat at death's door, invaders threatened to take over. The biggest threat comes from this posturing younger male, Hukumuri, a power-hungry interloper. The time has come to prepare for battle. Tingana has regained his strength. Now it's time to protect his domain. Well, the old Duke has managed to survive as the dominant male of this area through a considered approach to life. That said, he's fought his fair share of battles, and Hukumuri is just one in a long line of interlopers he's seen off his dukedom over the years. At the moment, he's looking a little beaten up. His ear is wonky, and if he gets up, you'll see he's limping. I'm not really sure who or what injured him, but these cats are tremendously resilient, and he'll most likely recover. Resilience comes in many guises, and one of the ways for an old boy like this to reduce the toll on his aging body is to use the labours of others. The Duke has busied himself with marking the eastern portions of his territory this week. His sawing calls have echoed through the dry and leafless woodlands, while his tracks show a fastidious attempt to re-establish his boundaries.
thirsty dry season work. Rest in the winter sun after a long patrol is essential, but always with an ear out for trouble. Tingana has tried to minimize the strain that hunting places on his aging body by pilfering the odd meal. This time it was from 2 female wild dogs. They returned to find their impala stashed beyond their reach in a tamwurti tree, with the Duke demonstrating he is still fast, agile and aware. Now nothing quite gets up the nose of a dog like the smell of a cat. But climbers the hounds are not, and Tingana, wily as ever, looks down on them with the disdain that only a cat can bring to bear. Groan, gripe and bark as they did, there was nothing this little pack could do to unsettle the leopard. Eventually, the dogs cut their losses and headed off for a drink of their own, while the Duke gloated from the safety of his perch.
He's moved off his mound now and found himself some softer grass and shade. Tingana is canny and he takes no risks. That's how he's maintained his dukedom for as long as he has. He heard those hounds coming from way off. He judged the distance between himself, the tree, and the dogs to perfection, just trotted up into the boughs of the tree, knew they couldn't get there, put his head down. He didn't growl at them once, he didn't hiss at them once, he just kind of lay there and glared at them while they hopped up and down below the tree in a state of deep anguish. They made the most amusing sort of angry, irritated, howling bark, and Tingana cared not one jot at all. It's not only these dogs and cats that share an ancient feud. The plains of the Mara are the stage for the eons-old battle between lions and hyenas.
Last week we were witness to the somewhat distressing scene of the happy zebra hyena clan catching and killing a baby buffalo from this exact herd, something that they have become specialists in the valleys around the Salt Lick. Before they could finish their hard-earned meal, the sausage tree pride of lions came in and stole it from them. Now that seems to be something that would be considered quite unusual. Nobody really expects lions to steal from hyenas, but that is what they do very regularly, particularly if there are male lions involved. Unfortunately for the Owino pride, they didn't have any males with them when they caught their buffalo meal of the week. A new day dawns bright and clear in the Masai Mara, and the Owino pride, a breakaway group of 2 formidable lionesses from the sausage tree pride, have been proven successful in their quest to catch a meal to feed their growing youngsters. With bellies fit to burst, the pride relish some bonding time. But the blissful feeding scene is not to last. As night falls, the smell of the buffalo attracts unwanted attention. Eerie rallying cries turn the meal into a battleground between 2 forces of nature as a tide of hyena fall upon the Owinos. The lions' attempts to reclaim lost ground are met with an impenetrable defensive line of glimmering teeth. Outnumbered and at risk of serious injury, the lions are forced to surrender. And within minutes, the hysteria calms and the victorious hyena make short work of the spoils of war. to a soundtrack of triumphant and contented mutterings. The interesting thing about that sighting was that it was around 300 to 400 or so meters away from North Clan Den. So we sat out there the whole day, assuming that it would be North Clan that came to steal from the Owinnos. It was not North Clan, it was the Happy Zebra Clan. What they were doing there, so far from the center of their territory, I have absolutely no idea. One of the realities of life in such a productive ecosystem is that there will always be competition, especially when it comes to food. But survival is about so much more than just securing a meal. For most mammals, it's about securing territory. And when it comes to invasion of territory by a rival clan, such as the Happy Zebra Hyenas encroaching on North Clan turf, the entire clan unites to very intimidating effect. By the law of the wild, entering into a rival's territory is one thing, but by eating a stolen zebra in North Clan territory, the Happy Zebra Clan had declared war. North Clan hesitated at first, seemingly taken aback by Happy Zebra's boldness, before rallying and launching their first assault. The Happy Zebra Hyena held their ground. Waffles and her clan fearlessly charged in, furious at this intrusion and theft of their resources. The carcass was won almost immediately, and while most of the clan scoffed it down, Waffles and a small number of her lieutenants stepped up to defend them. In this moment, Waffles was not a queen, but a battle commander, at one point even getting mauled by the enemy. She retaliated with righteous indignation and turned the tables on her attackers, head held high and wearing her muddy war paint with pride. The North Clan had proved their point and earned a meal in the process, which was promptly demolished. The Happy Zebra Clan were left dazed, disoriented, and defeated. Female spotted hyenas are both warriors and caregivers to their cubs, and they band together to protect the entire clan, their youngsters included. Waffles, the queen of North Clan, is a formidable leader, having fought her way up from one of the lowest positions in the hierarchy to the top of the pile. The most extraordinary thing with this battle with Happy Zebra is that Waffles, as she is leading her troops into all-out combat, is very heavily pregnant. The question we are all holding our breath to have answered, probably in the next few days as far as we can tell, is will Waffles be as good a mother as she is military tactician?
I'm sure a lot of you are very, very happy to see this cheetah. It's Kekenya, and she's got lucky. She's busy snacking on something. We'll tell you a little bit about that later. But more importantly, we also got lucky, and yesterday we stumbled upon her about 20 kilometers away from where she was last seen about 8 days ago. We stumbled upon this cheetah very close to the Tanzanian border, and I initially wasn't sure who it was. I was really hoping it would be Kekenya. The last time she was seen, only one of her 5 cubs appeared to still be alive. Once in position, we could tell for certain it was her. Once that was established, we took a closer look at her nipples to see if there was any sign of cubs still nursing. Sadly, this wasn't the case, confirming to us that she has in fact lost all of them. For a cheetah in the Mara, raising cubs is extremely difficult, especially when the grass is long and it's necessary to travel far to find prey. On many occasions, lions were seen in the vicinity of her den, and she's simply not equipped to defend herself or her cubs against these powerful competitors. It's obviously very sad that it seems like she's lost all 5 of her cubs. Anyway, it's one of those things in nature, and at least she's got lucky. She's got herself this meal, and after knowing where she was yesterday in the evening, we came back here first thing in the morning and got to witness this. We got off to an easy start, finding her perched up on a termite mound, surveying the plains for food. It didn't take her long, and she descended with intent. She used the long grass for cover and slowly crept forward before launching her attack. The Tommy tried its best to avoid her, dodging and weaving, but she was simply too fast, and after a short wrestle, had subdued her victim. Then she wisely made sure no other predators had seen the hunts, ensuring both she and her meal were safe. Once content no threats were nearby, she dragged the kill a short distance before settling in for her feast. Well, that poor Tommy had absolutely no idea Kikenya was coming, and a great example of how stealthy a cheetah can be when the grass is long. They don't always have to do very long chases at high speeds. I'm very happy that she has managed to keep this kill to herself, because she hasn't managed to drag it under a bush, and I was concerned that vultures were going to give away her position to some hyena that would steal this kill from her. But so far, she's been lucky. And let's just hope that the next few hours she continues to snack on this. We certainly aren't going anywhere in case any sneaky hyenas start to prowl about, and we don't want to miss a thing.
As you can see, I'm sitting here with a large pride of lions. They are called the Sausage Tree Pride, and they are one of my favorite prides in the whole Masai Mara. We've been following them for over a year, since last year's migration, and unfortunately there is still a member missing, and he's obviously out somewhere patrolling the territory, trying to keep these females safe from other marauding males. His name is Kipuli, and he's the dominant male. A 6-year-old male recently joined the Sausage Tree Pride. He has a distinctive split in his nose, but his origins are unknown. Males his age usually form coalitions. Even without a coalition, Kipuli was determined to take a pride of his own. The lionesses made sure he was worthy. Years older than the 2 young males born into the pride, there were fears he would see them as competition and chase them away. Instead, he seems to be courting them as coalition mates. Together, they can help bring down large and dangerous prey. This new alliance could prove valuable, as the migration could bring marauding males looking to take over the pride. The relationship between Kipuli and the 2 young boys will prove valuable to both. Now, it's very unusual for this to happen. Normally, an older male like Kipuli would chase those 2 young boys out and into the distance, but because he's by himself, he might have courted them as coalition members, so he'll be able to control possibly more than just the Sausage Tree Pride, as well as a vast area over the Masai Mara. Now, Kipuli's name is quite fun. It means nose ring in Swahili. He's got a very distinct split in his nose, where it looks like someone has yanked the nose ring out. While the sausage tree pride still slumber in this lovely light, I've got one last important piece of information to tell you. One of the females was missing for a considerable amount of time, and we suspected she was pregnant, and it turned out she was. We found all 5 sausage tree pride females together for the first time in over a month, and with them is the latest addition to the pride, a 6-week-old bundle of fluff. This is probably her first cub. Many dangers abound in the African wild, but for now, surrounded by the pride, it's time to explore and play in safety, and of course, have the odd bath. Optimistically, in the future, it'll have a few cousins to keep it company. Hopefully, Mom, with the help of the more experienced females, can raise this little lion to live a long life, wild and free, roaming the open plains of the Masai Mara. And I'm hoping we might catch a glimpse of the little cub hiding in the grass here somewhere. But for now, I'm pretty sure the pride is going to keep that cub very close. And it is so amazing to spend time with these animals. And if that little cub does make an appearance, you'll be the first to know.
The wilderness for me is a place of emotional contradictions. On the one hand, we had to watch as the cheetah experienced the apparently wasteful tragedy of losing 5 babies. On the other, there's the unmitigated delight of a yowling new lion. Tingana, probably unsurprisingly, seems unaffected by the dramas playing out in the Masai Mara. Down here, he's making the most of his full belly and the warm winter sun to build his strength. Out in the wild, there's really no way for him to predict what each day is going to bring. Could be challenges from rival males, unlucky hunting forays, escapes from hyenas and lions. And I suppose all of this uncertainty means he must rest and eat at every available opportunity. Let's go back now and look at what Tingana got up to 2 mornings after his impala foray.
Two days after they lost their impala kill, the 2 female dogs made another large kill they were unable to finish. Satiated, they left the carcass of the adult bushbuck ram to ripen in the sun and went off for a drink. That afternoon, the Duke picked up the smell of a potential windfall, but just before finding the prize, he lost the scent. Deflated, he lay down to contemplate the mysterious disappearance. Eventually, however, his superb olfactory skills prevailed, and he dragged his meal into a bush willow tree with a view. The spiky branches were uncomfortable at first, but with a ready-made meal, the old Duke could relax and watch with amusement as some scavengers pitched up to bicker over the scraps he dropped from his treetop table.
So that was his last meal, and it lasted him 2.5 days, which was good. Many of you might be thinking scavenging's not the most noble way to find food out here, but just about all of the predators will steal from each other when the opportunity presents itself. Finding food is one thing, but keeping it is another, and Tingana's ability to secret his prizes away from thieves is excellent. The Duke's extensive patrolling over the last little while is crucial if he wants to keep neighbours and rivals informed of his boundaries. But maintaining the integrity of his borders is probably even more important for his 9-month-old daughter, Tlalamba. Unrelated males are the leading cause of leopard cub death in this part of the world. So although Tingana plays little part in raising his daughter, he has an enormous, albeit indirect, responsibility to her. Speaking of Tlalamba, her mother, Thandi the Queen, seems to be on the lookout for food again. Her duties are never quite complete.
Tundi is not only the queen of this area, she is also a fantastic mother, and that means that she's got to spend a lot of time not only patrolling her territory, but trying to fill the tummy of the hungry Tlalamba. That means that Tlalamba often gets left alone, and these are important times because as she's left alone, she gets to explore the world around her and start to learn valuable lessons. And we had the distinct pleasure of watching her this morning as she learned a very good lesson of what animals are just a little bit too large to actually hunt. Left unattended while Mom is away, little Tlalamba explores her surroundings tentatively. Cautious steps are employed to stalk a potential intruder. A grey giant emerges from the thicket, and curiosity gets the better of the cat, evidently unfazed by the proximity of Short Trunk and her herd, to Tlalamba's comparatively tiny stature. A moment of observation seems to reassure the young leopard that indeed all is well here. And her indifference to her visitors is a clear sign that experience has already taught her the valuable life lesson of what warrants fear and what doesn't. Elephants, if left to themselves, are generally no threat to a predator that minds its own business and stays out of sight.
Well, this is the exact spot that we managed to find her this morning. So she was sitting atop this mound, kind of being as cute as could be. She really is an amazing little leopard. I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing her this morning. I was absolutely blown away at just how big she's gotten. The last time I saw her, she must have been at least half the size. She's filled out a lot more. She's starting to look a lot more like a proper leopard now. And I'm sure she's going to just provide us with many, many sightings to come.
Indeed, we all hope for many more years of following the ups and downs of Tlalamba's life, hopefully many more of the former. This has been a wonderful episode for cubs, from playful Tlalamba asserting some of her independence to the tragedy of loss and the joy of new arrival. We've also seen the coming of the twilight of an old warrior duke's dominance. Well, that brings to a close this edition of the Cat Report, infused as it was with extremes of emotion. We'll be back next time with the continuing sagas of the Sausage Tree Pride, the North Clan of Hyena, Kekenya, and all the other magical cats of Djuma and the Mara Triangle.